Aho, brothers of the axe. It's Joe. I'm out here on the bench tonight, and I got another one for you guys. So tonight we're going to be looking at a little axe that I am putting together um, for a auction, for a silent auction, to benefit a good cause. So it's probably been maybe around 10 years or so now. My father's Aunt Marianne, one of her grandsons, about 10 years ago, he was a lineman for JCP&L, Jersey Central Power and Light, and tragically he passed away. He wound up grabbing a live wire, and tragically passed away. So for many years now, they've done a benefit in his honor, and have a pretty significant little event there, and they like do a silent auction and all that good stuff to raise money for. I think I want to say it's a scholarship for potentially for tradesmen. Could be wrong on that, but anyways, my parents donate every year. They donate something, and this year my father wanted to do a hatchet and an axe and a gift card to a hatchet throwing place. Um, so he hit me up and he asked me to put together a hatchet and an axe, and the hatchet I have done already. The hatchet was one that I had just built on spec a while ago, and this is a little scout pattern that I made I want to say this was locust handle for. Made a nice locust handle, um, laminated palm swells. Head's not marked plum. It's not a plum. It's marked BT. Not sure what that is, but like I said, made this a while ago. So I'm just gonna clean it up again, sand it down, get it nice. I put this together. Never really used it for anything but to split up kindling for a couple fires, and then it just sat in the rack. So this will be a good candidate. This would probably actually be a decent thrower as well. So nice little hatchet, going to a good cause. And then we're gonna put together. My dad originally said he wanted to try to do a double bit, but honestly, I cannot. I do not have any double bit handles. Any new production stock double bit handles on hand at the moment, and the timeline is just unfortunately not going to be long enough to where I can order something and get it in on time to get it done. Kind of got to get it done this week. So what I have decided to do is put together a nice single bit, which honestly, for most guys, is going to be the more practical option anyway. I am assuming that whoever bids on this axe is going to be looking at it as a firewood splitting tool. So with that in mind, I chose pretty carefully what I wanted to put together. So the head that I chose was this double bar Craftsman in really nice shape. Nice full bit. This thing was barely used, if at all. And I got this, I don't remember honestly how long ago I got this, but I bought a lot of axe heads, and this was one of them. But it's got a really nice, let me focus, nice crisp stamp on it, really clean lines, a nice clean pole, nice full bit. And I think this is about a 3.5 pounder, but it's got nice flat cheeks, a wedgy profile. This will make a great splitter. Um, at the same time, it's thin enough, I think, to where I could put a pretty decent grind on it, and it should chop okay. Let's grab the bevel gauge, courtesy of brother Kevin, and I'm guessing that this is somewhere in the realm of 25. Yeah, so just stock grind. It's about 25. Actually 22 and a half. Wouldn't take much work to get this sucker down to 20 degrees. Almost there. So I think this will be a nice overall, not overall, all-rounder. Nice all-round axe. And I'm going to put this one on this 32-inch I don't know who made this handle. I got this in a trade with Kevin, and he just wasn't into the thickness of it. At the time, I don't think he was as confident in his rasping and shaving skills, so he just passed them along to me in a trade. And what I'm going to do is thin this sucker down a little bit because it is pretty thick. But it's a nice handle. It's got a pretty interesting palm swell on it that I think I might work on the undercut a little bit. But for sure, a generous palm swell. So 32 inches. I believe this is. Grab a tape. Yeah, 32 on the money. Once I sink this down, once I get this head shouldered up here, we're looking at finish length of about 30, which will be cool. Short enough to where it's not unwieldy, but long enough to where it's not going to be dangerous to use for guys that don't, really have their axemanship down pat. So the shorter the handle, especially when it comes to splitting, usually the more likely it is, to sort of miss your target, go in and chop into your shin, chop into your foot, that kind of thing. So that's the one thing that I'm always a little leery on when I send a nice sharp axe out to somebody that doesn't, maybe really doesn't know a whole heck of a lot about chopping or splitting. It's kind of the one thing in the back of my mind that I always worry about. But hey, got to learn somehow, right? So anyway, guys, I'm going to get shaping on this handle, thin this sucker out a little bit. I'm thinking for this head, what I'm going to do is I'm going to clean it up with the cut brush and see where it's at. But I kind of think that I might want to maybe mask off, keep a shiny part on the bit, and then maybe do a nice bluing. I really want this thing to generate a lot of interest. I really want to get it looking really nice. So I think a nice deep bluing job, and then maybe a really nice grind on this thing ought to generate some interest, because this is a benefit, like I said, for a fallen lineman. So I'm assuming that a lot of people that are there are going to be tradesmen, are going to be blue collar guys. So I'm hoping that this does really well. That being said, I'm going to get to work, and I will check back with you when I am further down the line. All right, guys, so I spent about 10 minutes or so cleaning this thing up with the cut brush. It's a braided wire cut brush. It's pretty clean, I have to say, pretty clean. So I kind of just took a little water here, do another round of it maybe, just cleaning off any of the excess residue. But this thing is pretty thoroughly degreased and ready to blue. Kind of want to put a little bit of a radius. Everything's good and sealed. Nice and even. All right, we got our paper towels. Man, guys, it is like a perfect night out tonight. It's the super moon. The sky is nice and clear. It's probably about maybe 70, 72 degrees out there. Beautiful in the shop tonight. So figured it would be a great night to get out here and start working on this. So yeah, I just like to apply it just with a little paper towel. And I've done this on camera before. getting a little, this thing's sopping. It's funny too, because no heads blew the exact same way. Now, if anybody has a different method of prepping or applying this cold bluing, I'd definitely be curious to know. I'm not 100% convinced that my way is the best way. Adjust the camera angle here so that I don't have to squat. Yeah, I'm not sold on the fact that the way I do it is the absolute best way. So if you guys have a product that you're really into, um, this is the Birchwood Casey, which I've had pretty good success with. I've been using this since the beginning of my axe restoration. I don't even know what you would say, career, but yeah, if somebody's got a product that they like, I would definitely be curious to know. I know the preparation with the bluing is sort of everything too, and to be honest, I probably could do more as far as like soaking the head in denatured alcohol or something like that, but I don't know. I just never really spent the time doing that. I usually just get the heads nice and clean, wash them sometimes with a little soap and water, and then dry them, wash them again. Yeah, this is taking a nice bluing. And I do anywhere typically between maybe 2 and 4 rounds of bluing. This one has already taken a pretty nice deep blue. This axe was silver. Get the pole, get the nice coating on the pole here. The underside again. And I just neutralize with water too after I'm done with my rounds of bluing. And I will go in and I will just kind of give it a little buff, a little polish before applying another round. And I found that this kind of helps with the blotchiness. It sort of blends it together nicely. Yeah, this is taking a blue really nicely. So this is a double bar Craftsman, and I'm not a major Craftsman collector or historian or anything. Nate from Iron Ox will probably chime in, or I know Chad from CMB Experience too is pretty big into the Craftsman, so they could probably offer a better idea of time frame. I'm assuming that this is probably somewhere between the 70s and 80s era Craftsman. Definitely made by, well, I shouldn't say definitely, but pretty good chance that this head was forged by Man Edge Tool in Pennsylvania here. So that's kind of cool. And I think maybe 1/3 coat. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. I think we're going to leave it at 3 coats. All right, so let's do a reveal here. Oh, yeah. Nice. So we can see nice crisp line there. That came out pretty. I like that. All right, guys. So as you can see, pretty nice even bluing. And you could see the difference before and after here. It's pretty apparent with the tape job. So nice crisp double bar Craftsman stamp. Made in the USA. Registered trademark. Pretty nice head. And then it's getting that nice 32-inch hickory handle that we're going to thin out a little bit with the spoke shave before we hang it. So back out in the shop again, and tonight I'm going to work on refining the handle shape a little bit. I think I'd mentioned previously, not 100% sure where this handle came from. I got it in a trade, and it's a nice shape. It's just a little on the thick side, so I think I'm going to chuck it up in the vise and just kind of work on rasping down the thinness just a little bit, or I guess I should say rasping down the thickness a little bit, working on this swell, and maybe just a little bit more aggressive of an undercut here on this 32-inch hickory. Really nice grain on this too. Very straight grain. Very little run out on this handle, so should be a good one. So this video may draw in some new viewers because of the nature of the auction, and I know a lot of people at the auction may have some interest in the build of this axe, and potentially may not know much about hanging axes or building axes, etc., etc. So essentially, what you want when you're looking to put a handle in an axe or hanging an axe is you want this part of the handle, the tongue, to actually be bigger than the eye to start off with. This is the eye of the axe. So you want to be able to get a perfectly custom fit. So it's kind of counterintuitive. You actually don't want this tongue to slide right into the eye, the hole here, right off the bat, because generally speaking, that means that it's going to be a bit of a looser fit. So what I'm doing now is kind of just using my eye. I'm taking my abrasive here. In this case, this is a rasp, and I'm kind of rasping the wood off the back and the front of this part of the handle here so that it fits nice and snug in the axe head. And this is probably the most nerve-wracking / tedious part of an axe build, because this is the part that sort of takes the most time. The biggest mistakes can happen in this part, and typically speaking, I'll have to fit this head on here anywhere between 15 to 20 times sometimes to get a fit that's perfect. Bit alignment is pretty much perfect, guys. Sunk down here on the shoulder. Pretty good. I think I might do 1 or 2 more fittings and get it sunk down just a hair more. For a 3.5 pound axe like this, I think I want to see just a little bit further down on that shoulder. But looking good. Good hang so far. Nice big old 12-inch file, courtesy of the Duke, brother Mike Normandy. So normally for my working axes, I just kind of file sharpen and then go to the stones. But because this is an auction piece, I'm kind of doing a little bit of a, not a mirror polish. I wouldn't call it a mirror polish, but doing sort of a satin polish on the bit here. I'm going to take it up to a 600 grit, which is way more refined than I would ever do for one of my working axes. But already I'm at 400 grit here, and this thing is already spooky sharp. So really anything more than this is to just get sort of that polish on the edge, or that semi-polish anyways on the edge. I guess I would call it more of a satin finish on the edge, but really just trying to get the file marks out. But yeah, this is way sharper than you'd ever really need to get an axe. This should be hair popping sharp by the time it's all said and done. All right, guys, so it's been a few days since I left off, and boy, how the weather has changed. I think in the last video, I might have been wearing a tank top and shorts. You know, got the full-on heavy flannel now. It's officially fall, heading into winter, guys. So we're ready to wedge. We've got this head shouldered up nice on the haft here, and I have a zebra wood, really nice exotic wedge to go for this build. And shout out to Machinist Mike the Tinkerer on YouTube. He hooked me up with these wedges, a bunch more, really nice, beautiful zebra wood. He also gave me some Purple Heart, some maple, what else? Some walnut, just beautiful stuff. But this zebra wood, the end grain on this zebra wood is just striking. So I think it's only fitting that we use a really cool wedge like this. And I've got the wedge custom fit to the eye, and we're basically ready to hang, guys. So I'm going to go ahead and seat this down on the handle for one final time. And you could see, got a nice tight fit. No gaps, no weirdness. So I'll give this a seat with the mallet, and we'll drive the wedge home. And then we will finish her up, guys. We'll put a brand on it, and we'll oil it up, and we'll do a final look. All right, guys. Seat this bad Larry down one last time. Make sure we've got no gaps. And we could see that since I have a custom fit on the wedge, I have an arrow here pointing in the orientation, the correct orientation that the wedge needs to go. Get it started by hand. You can see that. And I'm going to move to a progressively bigger hammer until this wedge will not go any further. Yeah, that sucker is good and tight, but just to be sure, get the old persuader out, give it a few more licks. Yeah, guys, so I will cut this flush and we'll oil the sucker up, and then we'll look at applying the brand. Ooh, buddy, that is looking good. Check that out, guys. That's not even oiled. That's dry, and that thing pops like crazy. Mike, these wedges are phenomenal. Cool, cool. Let's get some oil on this sucker, guys. All right, guys. So we're branded. Let's get this sucker oiled up. And just using a little boiled linseed oil here. And this will be the first of probably 3 to 4 coats of linseed oil that I'll put on the sacks. And then from there, I'll apply my my paste wax to kind of seal it in. Wow. That wedge just pops, guys. That wedge is striking. So yeah, I think this build turned out great. The hang is, dare I say, perfect. We've got 0 gaps. The wedge on it is great, good and tight. Beautiful zebra wood wedge, as I've said. The bluing job on this axe turned out really nice. It took a nice bluing. And I put a satin polished 800 grit finish on the edge. The edge is nice and sharp, a good functional edge. I can't remember what kind of bevel we put. I think 22. No, this is thinner. So we're at about a 20-degree grind. So this thing will chop, and it'll chop well. And I would love to get some testing with this axe, but unfortunately for me, I don't want to get it dirtied up. I don't want to ding up the bluing job. So I think I'm just going to have to go by my knowledge base and just assume that this is going to chop very well. But one thing I did want to show you, this Craftsman here, really, it cleaned up nice, and I was surprised at the geometry of it. And it was very reminiscent of an axe that I thought, no, there's no way it could be the same. They're not, you know, not different manufacturers, this, that, and the other, but it's a very similar axe here to this Snow and Neely Dayton pattern. It's, you know, this one's a little longer. It's got a big, fuller bit for sure, but it's got a similar profile. This Snow is got the same sort of profile to it. So this Craftsman here, Snow here. Now, this is a fine axe, this Snow and Neely. So the Craftsman is definitely in good company, but this one's going to a good cause. So happy to help out, happy to raise some money for an excellent cause. And like I said, just to reiterate again, this is going to be for a silent auction for a family member of mine who has, since passed on, and they are keeping his spirit alive by continuing to do the scholarship. Like I said before, I think it's for trade school. I'm not 100% sure on that, but like I said, he was a lineman for PSE&G, and by continuing on with the scholarship, they're keeping the memory of him alive. So happy to be a part of it. Well, folks, I want to thank everybody for coming along with me on this one. Thanks everybody for your support, the likes, the comments, the subs. Again, this build is coming to a close, but there will be many more after this. A lot of chopping. We've got some testing videos coming in the future. So as always, guys, keep your axe waxed. Stay tuned for the next one, and I'll talk to you guys later. Take care.